The truth occurs. The truth occurs.
Hi everyone. Well, a lot of you have been asking me for a while for some tips on how to make a video. So I'm going to give you my tips. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to go into the bathroom and you want to put some makeup on your face so that you don't look like you spend all your time on the internet, even if you do. Oops, that's a bit too much. If you have too much, take some off. You don't want to look like a hooker either. So now you go into the room where you're going to do your video, and the very first thing you do is you set your scene. This is very important. So what you do is you remove any garbage that would be visible in the shot, and you just throw it over to the other side of the room that nobody's going to see. Also, remove anything incriminating. This includes all drug paraphernalia. Then you sit down at your computer and you open your browser. Go on above top secret. Look for the weirdest, most out there topic you can find. Israel teams with terror group to kill Iran's nuclear scientists. The secrets hidden in the pyramids. That's one my husband would like. What would you do if the internet shut down? God, I don't know. What did people do before we had the internet? Big name neuroscientist announces telepathy as a proven fact. This is right up my alley. And so then you just hold your camera up like this and you film yourself talking to the camera. Neuroscience researcher and Laurentian University professor Dr. Michael Persinger demonstrates telepathy under laboratory conditions. Okay, I don't even have to read the rest of the article because that already rings a bell. So I'm just going to go and Google something else. Operation Stargate, U.S. intelligence and psychic spies. See, and then you read all about what the neuroscientists said, and also about Operation Stargate, which is when the military was doing experiments involving things like telepathy, ESP, remote viewing. They've been doing this for a long time. And then you start to see the connection. And then you'll realize that, of course, the neuroscientist is right. And the military and the government have known this for decades. And they've been just keeping this a secret because they want to be the only ones who are able to do it. See, it's okay for the government to read your mind, but it's not okay for the government to admit that people can read minds. Because then we'd all harness our natural powers and read each other's minds, and we'd know the truth about everything, and we'd be kind of like tapped into the mind of God, and then the New World Order would come crumbling down. And after you've said a few things about that, that might make you think of something else that you've read, and so you'd open up that tab, The Truth About Hair and Why Indians Would Keep Their Hair Long. So you take this opportunity to add that information into your video and share it with your viewers. This is a really cool article. See, back during the Vietnam War, the military people went over to the reserves where the natives live, and they recruited some of their best trackers who had a reputation for having trapping abilities that bordered on the supernatural. I mean, these guys were really exceptional. They could tell when something was coming, they could find something, you know. So they recruited them into the military. And then the strange thing was that after they'd been processed, they lost their abilities. And it later turned out that what happened was that when they cut their hair during the processing, that somehow made them lose their ability to have these keen senses that they used for trapping, which were really almost like a kind of telepathy. Okay, your audience is still not convinced, so keep going. They did do experiments, scientific experiments, that showed that in fact they did lose their exceptional tracking abilities once their hair had been cut. The evidence was so solid for this that in the end the military made it a policy that all Indian trackers be exempt from military haircuts. And in fact, they required that the trackers keep their hair long. And here's the neat thing, the explanation that this article offers is that hair is an extension of the nervous system. It can be correctly seen as exteriorized nerves, a type of highly evolved feelers or antennae that transmit vast amounts of important information to the brainstem, the limbic system, and the neocortex. At this point, you get interrupted by your husband.
What are you doing?
Oh, just doing a vlog on how to do vlogs. Actually, I'm glad my husband walked in because he's a really good example. See his hair? See, look at those feelers. Can you imagine how telepathic my husband must be? Those are like his antenna. Antennas? Antennae?
Antennae.
No, it's antennae.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm just doing a vlog on telepathy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You can also give a personal example of how you relate to this information. See, I know that telepathy is real because I have a telepathic connection with my son. Like this one time he was looking for a pair of pants. He didn't say which pair of pants it was. And he was going crazy looking in all his drawers. And I was doing the dishes in the kitchen. And then all of a sudden, pop, I got this image in my mind of these green shorts. And I said, oh, I know what you're looking for. And I gave him the green shorts. And those are the ones he was looking for. So it was obviously a case of telepathy.
That's funny because very often when he's talking directly to me with words, I don't know what he's talking about.
And then you wrap up all this information into a nice, neat conclusion. So I can only conclude that we're all naturally telepathic, especially when we have long hair, and that the government knows this. The military's been doing experiments with it for decades, and now some scientists are trying to come out, but they better watch it, or they're going to end up like those microbiologists that got killed, you know? So yeah, we're all naturally telepathic, and we've just lost our ability to be telepathic, but some of us still retain vestiges of this ability. I like to think I'm one of them, and so is maybe my son. He sends me pictures in my brain, like he did with the shorts. So basically what I'm trying to say is that this is like a big conspiracy to dumb you down, to make you think that you're nothing but, you know, your body. You're nothing but a consumer, and your job is to just be here and work and make money and, I don't know, have a house with a white picket fence and 2.6 kids and a Labrador. Or maybe it's 2.1 now because of depopulation. I'm not sure. But you're so much more than that, and your mind has capability for so much more. These are just natural, God-given abilities that we probably all have, and they've just been washed out of us by years of programming. And this would probably be a good time to take the opportunity to ask your viewers what they think of this and if they've had any experience with it, and then you sign off. Do you believe in ESP? Have you ever had any experiences with that, or anything, you know, paranormal or telepathy? Well, let me know, and thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time. And that's it, you're done. Then you just put your footage into your computer, and then you have to edit it. And then you work on that late at night when your kid's asleep. Here's my editing program. I use Vegas. Just put all my little files in there and cut them where I need to and shorten them and move them around. I'm not going to show you me doing that because it's like watching paint dry. But you can find tutorials on how to use an editing program on YouTube. So I hope this has been useful to you, and I'll see you next time.